we're all part of this. So it's that there's like nobody. It's but really, for those that are joining us from back home and wherever you're joining in, this is the three neighbors. This is my neighbor Kevin. This is my neighbor Dave. Well, I'll get into the story about how we met, but which is a long story. But we thought to kind of start something where we just have conversations that we would normally have during the weekends as good friends, and maybe from there just build a community. So that's really where the conversation started. But I'm sure that my neighbors here, they also have their own intake on that. So what do you think about this? Like when we started the idea about starting that, what was like going through your mind really?
Yeah, and Kevin and I have spoke about this. It's, what topics are we going to cover?
Right.
And I think, when all this started out, it was making sure we don't go down a rabbit hole that we don't want to be in.
Yeah.
And then from there, I guess for me, it's, number one, it gives me the opportunity to spend more time with you guys and learn more about you. And then another portion of it is just trying to find topics or subjects that we feel would be of interest to the general audience. I mean, for me, it's if you're watching a podcast, it's because of something you believe in. Me personally, I like to hear differences. I like to hear other sides, if you will. And I'm not talking about politics. It's just,
you could also be part of it.
Yeah. So, and with that, I agree. I mean, I think initially I was a little hesitant because I didn't want to go down, like you said, the rabbit hole of the politics, of the cultural differences, of the hot topics of the day. Sure, I'm not saying I don't want to get into that.
Yeah.
There's just a little hesitation to say, I really want to have these conversations on camera. And I think when you talk about different opinions, I think when we get into some topics, we're going to find that we align more than we don't. So, I think it'd be interesting. It'd be an interesting journey.
And I agree. I think that's the uniqueness of this, and the fact that we have different backgrounds, and we're going to fuse all of our perspectives together to with a dialogue or have conversations about different topics. I think it's going to be fun. So for those of you that are watching, and if this is something that you like and that the kind of conversations that you want to be a part of, we're hoping that you kind of stay tuned and enjoy our conversations, right? And the dialogues that will come from there. But most importantly, I think we do have a different background, professional background that we bring to this conversation. Like, for example, myself, I'm a university professor. Of course, I don't make as much money as this too, but that's my background, and I think that's also unique. And I think Kevin,
probably a safety consultant.
Yeah,
health and safety.
That's more like loss prevention, isn't it?
Well, no, that was my background. So after college, I started in the loss prevention, and majority of my experience has been in retail. I've done human resources, the actual operation side of it. But yeah, got into consulting. I'm enjoying it.
Exciting. And Dave, he has like a long list of. We'll just give him about 2 minutes to download, right? Because I think it's important. Yeah, because I think it's important that people get to know, our different backgrounds, and because that's what will shape and inform what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, different backgrounds. It's going to bring us all together. But my background, I started out blue collar worker, retail, stock and shelf, stuff like that. Then I went over to work in the corrections, did that for years, then wanted to be a street cop. So I left that and went to the police department and worked there for 7 years full time, stayed on another 3 years auxiliary. And because of that job, I was able to get a skill in tactical driving. And at the time, because we're here in Virginia, Mooryock, where Blackwater is located about 30 minutes from here, they picked me up as a full-time tactical driving instructor there. Nice. And then from there, I went overseas, did some contracting work over in Baghdad, and then came back here. And now I'm the training manager for a technology company, still training law enforcement. That's another quick overview of my background.
It's like a lot of transitions, I tell you, man. It's crazy. And by the way, we are actually doing this recording from Dave's house. So, I'm not that sophisticated to put this kind of place together, So we thought about we thought about finding a place that we can use. So I know my place wouldn't be the right place for that. So, but we're happy that Dave was like, hey, I have a great place. And so, so if you're wondering about this is all, I think Dave, his collection, so it's an amazing hero. Maybe tell us about this album. I'm just trying to
Yeah, it's what they are. Because I still work with law enforcement around the world. These are all challenge coins, just a few of them from the agencies that I've worked with. And
Impressive.
there's some other ones, of course, that I've got from the military community as well. So I'm going to put another one over there. And then, of course, just a nice little bourbon display. I do enjoy bourbon.
Nice. That's amazing. Maybe next time we'll have some of that,
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. Well, so today we didn't want to just go straight to talking about topics. So we wanted to just kind of brainstorm on some of the things that we'll be talking about. We want this to be like a small community, that you're also going to be a part of that and share maybe ideas that you want us to talk about, but also as we kind of dialogue and just, share our thoughts on things, But I think in terms of what we're going to talk about today, I just thought about just starting off with, what we think that will bring in our unique perspective. Maybe,
You can out your background.
I thought I did that already.
You just said you were a professor and everybody else makes more money than me. I came to that. We all make $50. Nah.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, it's kind of crazy. So, clearly I don't have the American accent, so I'm not American, but I'm kind of I see myself as someone that's displaced. I was born in Nigeria, so I moved there to be around with my Irish girlfriend. Oh man, I'm sorry that I'm saying that. I'm married now, so I don't have a girlfriend. But so I moved around a lot during my teenage years, and eventually ended up in different places. I first was in Ireland, and then the UK, then the Middle East, and then South Africa, and then the Netherlands and Australia. And just recently, I moved out here, I think in November 2022, to start a new role at the university as an associate professor of psychology. But what's fascinating about that was that when I came in, the first experience that I had was the fact that in this country, if you don't have a credit history, you're not considered a human being. So that was the first challenge that I had. So trying to find a house, and which of course was how I met Kevin. So what I was doing there was every 4 o'clock I would leave the campus. I was staying in a hotel at the ocean front. So for most of you that are watching, we are in Virginia Beach currently. And so I would drive around just to look at houses. And so I came to this house. The agent has shown me one of the houses somewhere, maybe at Chesapeake or something. And the place didn't really have the utilities that we would normally want. So I told him if he had another place. So he told me he has another house that he would show me, just a 3-bedroom house. But when we were trying to come here, my wife was like, you know what, you better, I want a 4-bedroom house. But it was difficult to get the ones that we wanted. But the other challenge that we were having was the fact that it's like, because I didn't have a credit history, it was almost impossible to get anything. But I think the real estate agent that I was working with, knew that I was employed in my university. So he knew I wasn't really at risk, because the house that he wanted me to go move in was the house of one of my colleagues, right? And the colleague wanted me to stay in his place, but then I didn't like the house. So I think that was a context where the guy felt, okay, this guy definitely wouldn't overstay or do something crazy. So
I don't mean to cut you off. Yeah. This is just for my education.
Yeah.
Is there not a credit score in Australia?
We don't have that system per se. We don't. But then once you're employed and you're filing your tax and all that, naturally, both in Australia and in Europe as well, when you have, we don't have a credit score system per se. We don't necessarily have that. But once you're employed and you show that you're employed, usually that takes care of things.
Okay.
So
is there something you can do prior to coming, like maybe 6 months out, 12 months out prior to coming to the U.S. to kind of prepare?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a good question. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Especially for those that are moving internationally, I guess. I'll get to the part how I met you, because that's why I was telling this story. But I can't think of something, though, because I don't know. It's until you get here, like, for example, when I was coming, the other decision was, I was thinking, someone was telling me the tax was like 6%. I don't know where I got it from. But
we didn't have that discussion.
I was misled. And when I got my first paycheck, I'm like, what is this? Like, but I guess nothing prepares you than experiencing things yourself, The other mistake that I made, it looks like we're kind of going around into the mistake that I made moving country. The other mistake that I made was when I was coming, we had like, for example, my wife, got some money off her work, and myself also had some money, and we were buying things off the rack. Instead of thinking about all the thrift stores, we call it op store in Sydney, and you could get really things very cheap there.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially household items.
Yeah.
And we spent a lot of money at Target just trying to, man, later on we're so furious about that.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't be cussing on this, but anyway, I don't know if there's anything that I could think about one can do when moving to this place. Maybe being prepared about that. Maybe also having someone local that can, because if you have someone that could sign some kind of surety for you, that could, you guys could sign something, maybe a lease, that could help, But I was coming here, I didn't really know anybody except my colleagues, and I didn't want to kind of, get them involved in my own personal stuff,